Hi there, and welcome to the Explaining History YouTube channel. If you're looking at this, it's probably because you're looking for some detailed information on the Tsar Alexander III. I find with some of my students there's a lot of confusion about Alexander III and the differences between himself and his father, Alexander II. Now, it's too simple to say that Alexander II was the good reforming Tsar and a delightful liberal, and Alexander III was a monstrous autocrat. Certainly, Alexander III is highly autocratic, but the level of progressive democratic liberalism of Alexander II shouldn't be overstated. He's still an autocrat by the time he dies. When he's assassinated, he is considering wider reforms, but they are fairly lavender stuff, fairly minor stuff. So Alexander III doesn't simply become of the autocratic persuasion because his father's assassinated. There's another misapprehension that he suddenly goes, right, well, my father's been assassinated by revolutionaries, social reform and constitutional reform and emancipation have been terrible ideas, therefore I will shift the other way. He was already of that persuasion because he had been schooled by Konstantin Pobyetsnov. There are, by the way, innumerable debates over how that man's surname is spelt. Pobyetsnov is the way I was schooled him, but you may beg to differ. Pobyetsnov, the orthodox, religious, bureaucratic figure of the Romanov regime, the conciliary and educator of the Tsars, had already steered him in a decidedly Slavophile, pan-Slavic direction, with no small amount of anti-Semitism in there. And the point that Pobyetsnov tries to make is that Russia has a separate and Slavophilic destiny, a separate journey through history, and that westernization, any kinds of westernization, really are not what Russia should be doing, and it's not the answer. So the kinds of things that Peter the Great had previously done, the kinds of things that Alexander II had flirted with, were antithetical to the Russian character, and the Russian character laid in its medieval past, and what Alexander II had done in Alexander III's eyes. It had let the kind of all the demons out of Pandora's box through the emancipation. All that had happened through the emancipation, Alexander II thought, is that the countryside was now ungovernable. The serfs knew no master, and they were not afraid of defying authority. So the introduction of land captains was an essential part of this, and trying to erode the democratization of the creation of zemstvos, the elected councils in rural Russia. That was another part of the restoration of order to the countryside. In a wider national level, creating the policy of Russification was designed to be the glue to the empire that Alexander II had thought emancipation would be. The failure of emancipation and the development of Russification are kind of connected, where one solution clearly fails. Alexander III thinks a more authoritarian solution is there. Now, under Alexander III, there is a development, perhaps not very much to do with him, and far more to do with the new generation of ministers who are rising, people like Sergei Witte, of industrialization, and the development of railways and that kind of thing, and the introduction of Russia into the gold standard, which is a kind of the real game changer. of which I'll talk about a bit more later on because we're nearly running out of time. But these trends continue under Nicholas II. Again, almost nothing to do with the Tsar themselves, and more to do with the generation of ministers who are around at that time. So, to recap, Alexander III's reaction really isn't a direct result of the assassination of his father, though obviously I'm sure that had some profound impact. It was to do with the ideas that he had acquired long beforehand, and the two of the main strands of his reactionary policy, the Russification and the development of land captains and the assault on the Zemstvo, were direct responses to the crises created in his eyes by emancipation. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you on the next video.